Now, in this practice, you need to change the design of the product management class to create a static nested helper class to encapsulate all the management of the text, resources, and localization. Now, this is a strange practical exercise because you're not actually in that section of the practice, you're not actually writing much of a new code. You're almost only just kind of cutting and pasting it. You're moving the code, you're refactoring it, you're changing its location. So code that's currently in the product manager class needs to be kind of alienated, moved into a separate class, nested class. Now, the reason for this design, for this change in the design, is to separate the business logic of the application, what you do in terms of storing products and reviews and doing that part, from the part that visualizes the information. For example, applies the locale, or parses values, or formats values, or print reports, or anything like that. So that's the first part. And then there's another part of this exercise which actually implements different sorting options for products using lambda expressions. Okay, so now there is a strange thing about this exercise, as I say, yeah? Because you're not really writing any code in the first part of the exercise, you're mostly just moving the code around, you've got a choice here. You can actually do the exercise properly, in which case you follow the instructions of the lab 10.1a, and that tells you how to cut the code, where to paste it, how to rearrange it. Or alternatively, you can skip the 10.1a and proceed to 10.1b, where that is already done for you. In this case, the assumption is that you've taken an already refactored code where the code has already been moved into the static nested class, and then you just sort of read through that transcript of 10.1b exercise to understand what the new code is doing and why it was refactored like that. So I'm going to show you how to actually follow the practice 10.1a, yeah. But just in case, if you don't want to do a lot of cut and pasting, then you can just read through the transcript of 10.1b. Regardless of which way you do it, you still need to do the exercise 10.2 after that. So either you finish 10.1a or you load essentially a solution and read through that in 10.1b, but you then do the 10.2, which is the exercise that practices lambda expressions, right? Okay, well, let's start with 10.1a. The assumption is that you finished the previous exercise for lesson 9, and that you decided to actually do the lab, yeah, step by step. Right, if you finish the previous exercise, you don't really need to open the solution. You can just continue in a previously created project, or else you can open the solution for practice 9. Now, your job here is to create a static class, a nested class, called resource formatter. So this one would be responsible for formatting values, applying localization, and we'll take this functionality, it's currently in the product manager, and we move it to this resource formatter. So let's open the product manager, and just anywhere, well, doesn't matter really, put the resource formatter static nested class. Just nicely realign the code, yeah, and we'll be moving code inside here, yeah. So we'll be cutting the code from the product manager and move it into this static nested class instead. Right. So what do we need to move? We need to move the declarations that relate to the format, into the locale, to resource bundle, to date time format, to number format. Fair enough. So let's find these variables. The locale, number, date format, resource bundle, cut them, right? You retain the part that deals with data, like product map, that's fine. That's still in the product manager, but we cut and we paste the other components inside this resource formatter. Okay. Of course, now we need to initialize them. Previously, these were initialized from the constructor of the product manager. But now we're initializing them through a local method, yeah, which we need to add to the resource formatter. In fact, we can add that as a constructor of resource formatter, and that's precisely what you do next. So you create a constructor for resource formatter to accept the locale. Okay, format it nicely, and then move the initialization code for the locale resource data money format from the constructor of the product manager, where this code currently resides, here, yeah, from the product manager constructor, move that to the constructor of this nested class, here, to the resource formatter constructor. Okay, so we're initializing all of these resources. Same logic, we just moved it from one class to the separate class, which is nested. Okay, so we did that, yeah. Now what? Now we need to add a method to format information about a product. So we'll have a dedicated method to do the formatting of product data. That's the signature of that method, return in string, accepted product, which kind of makes sense, yeah, and put that into the resource formatter. Of course, we need to add more logic to this method, but we'll deal with that in a moment. So now we have a dedicated method to format the product. How do we format the product? Well, actually, we already have the required logic. This logic comes from the print product report method, which is currently doing that formatting. Let's check it out. So what's going on in print product report? We have here the format for the product. Yeah? There it is. That's the chunk. Well, appending it to the string builder, but obviously, well, we just format the product here as an argument within the string builder append method, right? So if we take that out, so obviously something needs to go into the append method in a moment. Yeah, but if we take that out and we put that logic into format product method, and we return basically the formatted result. Let's just make sure you put correct semicolons at the end of the line. Yeah. So there you go. You use this locale, given product name, price, rating, best before dates, which you extract from the product, all of these properties. You use the resource bundle here that you've loaded, you use the formatters. So all of that was previously done in the method that printed product report, right? But now we can actually use it inside a method format product. So we can call it later, yeah, from print product report, I guess. Okay, so we moved that code. Now the same thing needs to be done for formatting of the reviews. So we add a method to format reviews. Again, same idea, yeah. So what exactly goes into the format review method? Well, I guess that message format here. When we were printing product report, we're printing reviews as well. Again, the logic will have to be sort of added to these append methods, which is kind of currently missing, but we'll figure it out. So we're formatting the reviews, right? And again, we need to make sure we return the text value of the formatted result. Okay, so the reviews, we sorted them out, yeah? Now, one more thing that we could add to our resource formatter is the method called getText, just to get any other text from resource bundle that does not require formatting and substitution of parameters. To remind you what's going on in resource bundle, we've got the product message, which requires us to substitute several values. We've got review that requires us to substitute a couple of values, but we may have other key value pairs that require no substitution, which we can just get as text. Yeah, there's no need to substitute any parameters. So that means we could have a method to just simply get the text and return the resource from the resource bundle pretty much as is. And that is the next thing you're adding to the resource formatter. Okay, so we can format the product, we can format the review, and we can get any other text from the bundle, basically. Now, inside the product manager, what we need to do is create resource formatter instance. Probably more than one, because we could initialize different instances of resource formatter for different locales that we'd like to support. Right? This could be done with a simple static variable, which will store the map of different resource formatters per locale. So you want to have like that locale corresponds to this formatter, that locale to that formatter, etc. Just store them as a hash map, I guess. Yeah. Key is a string, which is the name of the locale. Value is which instance of resource formatter would you like to initialize. So this code goes into the product manager, just sort of a declaration of all the locales you would like to globally support. And format this code nicely. Yeah, so we've got this formatters map. Yeah, and we just put there all of these different formatters for matching locales. So we create essentially a number of different resource formatter instances, yeah, for different locales. Right. Next, what you asked to do, you may choose other locales, whatever you like, it doesn't matter. The next thing what you asked to do is to add a new instance variable to the product manager class, which will represent the chosen locale. So this is like hash map of whatever locales you may choose from, and then you just say which one you actually want to use at any given point in time. So you have like just a variable for the selected formatter. Okay, which one you want to use. So we have that as just an instance variable, you know, which formatter you would like to use, yeah, out of that entire list. Okay. How do we initialize it? Well, we need an operation to set that formatter, to select and choose that formatter. So in the product manager, the operation should basically accept which language tag you would like to use, which locale you would like to use, and pick the locale from the list of locales, and assign the selected locale to the formatter variable. The other extra condition is which locale to select from that hash map if the language tag supplied corresponds to no language tag that's currently in that hash map. So in other words, you just need to set a default. Fortunately, the hash map has the method to do it. It's called get or default. So you can have a method that accepts the language tag and then selects the formatter from the hash map of formatters. And if the matching formatter language tag is not found, then it just gets one with whatever locale you'd like. And presumably you're assuming that this one is in that map. Yes, so you kind of default to one of them. Okay, so this goes anywhere in the product manager. So the product manager has this ability to choose the locale based on the language tag provided, and if the language tag matches no existing locale, then it just basically gets a default one, which is the ENGB. Yep, well, it could be anyone though, frankly. Good, and sets it to the formatter variable. Yeah. Now, another operation in the product manager that should return the set of supported locales. So just basically, whoever wants to know which locales we're supporting, we're just returning supported locales. All we need to return is the key in that map, the language tag. We don't need to return the entire hash map. So it's simply a key set, and that is a key set of strings because the first element in that map is a string, right? Okay, so now there is an ability here to report which locales we actually support. The product manager will tell which locales are supported. You may need to add an import of set. Yeah, that's fine. Next. So we added a set import, yeah? Add additional overloaded version of the product manager constructor, which accepts string language tag and allows you to trigger the change of the locale based on language tag. So we have a constructor for locale, we cut the code out of it. And now we're doing the similar constructor, but this time we'd like this one to use the language tag idea instead of locale. So different way of initializing. And I suppose this constructor can simply invoke the change locale method, passing language tag as an argument, semicolon at the end. Yeah, so we're invoking that method, we're triggering the change of the locale. What about the other constructor with the locale? Yeah. Well, we could still use it. And all we need to do is get the language tag out of the locale object, which we're getting as an argument. So we can retrieve it. Yeah, that string language tag can be retrieved from the locale that we're getting. Okay. And if anybody calls the constructor and the product manager pass an actual locale object, then we'll get the language tag that will call the other constructor with the language tag, that will do the switching. Or else you can just call the constructor with a language tag that will do the change of the locale and switch to whichever locale you decided to select. Nice. So now modify the logic of the print report to actually utilize the resource formatter. So that text append where we format the product, we cut the formatting logic out of it. So all we need to do now is in a print report method, just invoke formatter and call the method format product, pass in the product as an argument. Then we'll invoke this method here, format product. Well, guess what you need to do with the review? Formatter dot format review instead of format product, obviously. Yeah, and that will format information by review. And finally, in the isEmpty clause, what we need to do is retrieve the text from the bundles as this get text method that we could utilize on a formatter to retrieve the extra text. Get text, no reviews. Yeah, that's that same clause, that same case that you want to print when no reviews are available. So print product reports now doesn't really perform any formatting. It's no longer concerned with which locale you've selected. You may select the locale separately, and then, you know, the resource formatter will handle all the required formattings, whatever you need. Yeah, the print report simply says, just do the formatting for me. Yeah, figure it out. You know, do the formatting without actually having to to write all of that code, yeah, which was previously embedded inside a print product report method. And the idea is that for a given product manager, we can now have a support for different localizations implemented for this additional resource formatter class, which kind of helps the product manager do all the necessary, localizations and resource bundles and the value formattings. But there is product manager, all the product manager needs to decide is which locale to use based on the user requirements, really, yeah? To just the initialization on which locale to select and the list of supporting locales, and that's it. Okay, so we changed the logic of print product report. And now I guess, yeah, that's just a confirmation of where the logic is changed. And now we are ready to provide translations for locales. So what you can do is in resource properties file here, you can right mouse button click on it and say add locale and select any locale you like from the list and fill in the translation for your resource bundle. The example in the manual shows translation to Russian, but you may choose any other language you like. It's up to you. So you could do the add locale, yeah, and just basically select whichever locale you fancy. Let's do the same example that's in the manual. So that creates a translation of your bundle. It doesn't really translate anything, but it just creates a replica of the original resource bundle file with the relevant country language extensions. And now you could provide the translations. You actually have the translation text in the manual. But if you want to use a different locale, that's entirely up to you. So that's your choice. Translating all of these values. Nice. Now, optionally, you may repeat this process for other languages. So you've got a number of languages, remember, that we've configured here in the product manager. If you want to use different languages, that's fine. For different countries, just make sure you change it here. And then you add the resource bundles with translations and you're ready, yeah? If you don't add translations for whatever languages, everything will still work, but your resources will be defaulting to this bundle, yeah, to the generic one, basically. Okay, now let's test this functionality. So now what we can do is that we could go to the shop class and utilize this new way of initializing the product manager using language tag constructor instead of locale constructor. That's an overloading way of constructing that, yeah. And in a shop, we could just basically replace the locale with whichever language tag you like. Okay, and I guess print some product information and then switch the locale to another one to see, different output, yeah. You could switch to whichever locale you like after you print in some product info, just flip the locale to a different one. You only have resource bundle at this stage for one alternative locale, but if you want to provide more translations of bundles, you can. And even if you switch to locale, which is one of these locales that are in the product manager list here, but not translated as a bundle, you'll still see the difference in the currency and date formats. Yeah, that's obviously a part of the format and logic. And yeah, just run and see what will happen. So first product will be printed in British English, and then all other products will be printed in Russian, yeah, because we did the switch at that stage. And certainly you can switch to other locales if you want to. Okay, so that's the end of this segment. We refactored the code. We placed it into this resource formatter and enabled the switch of locales, yet in a way that didn't really affect the rest of the product manager class design. So the business logic remained the same. It's just the application of formattings and localizations that is now indeed different. As I say, you have an alternative way of doing this exercise. Instead of actually performing all of these copy-paste, cut-paste steps, you could just open the solution instead and, read through the transcript, which basically explains the type of design changes that you've just performed. So that's based on the solution for lesson 9 and basically explains how the code was moved, right, from the product manager to the resource formatter. So all the changes we just made, this formatter object, this static sort of map of predefined supported formatters, the addition of translation bundles, etc. Size. After that, you still need to perform the practice 10.2, which tells you to produce customized product reports. So either you perform 10.1a and then you continue to 10.2, or you perform 10.1b, you open the solution, and then you still continue to 10.2. What happens here is that you ask to add to the product manager class a print products method, which accepts the sorter object with comparator, basically, which compares products between each other, right? And enables the sorting capabilities within the product manager when we print in product reports. So that's a new method that we will need to add to print sort product reports and sort the products as we do that. So we take this print product method and we place it into the product manager class. So far, just to remind you, in the product manager, we have this very basic print product report, but that just operates on a single product, right? And what we want to do now is instead, we would like to have a method that will be capable of printing multiple products and doing it in a particular order. And we need a comparator import from JavaUtil package. Yeah? Okay, so we will need to implement here some kind of sorting and printing algorithm. Let's take a look what we should do. So in the print products method, we should get a list of products for a given product key. So remember, we have a hash map of products, which is key is the product and the value is the list of reviews, right? So what we want to do here is get the keys from the product hash map, and keys obviously in the hash map are stored as set, yeah? What we want to do is get it as list, because we feel like list is more appropriate in this case. And it's perfectly normal. You may store the collection as one type, a set in one place of the program, but then you want to use it, in a different way, in a different part of the program, so you convert it to a different collection type, essentially. So this is what we're doing. We're getting all of the product keys from the hash set, and we're presenting them as a list. And then we will apply this sorter to the product list. So we perform the sorting, right? Now, we haven't specified a condition of sorting, what exactly will happen, because we expect that to come in as a parameter, as an argument. So now we need to perform the actual assembly of the text based on these products. So we create a string builder, txt, where we'll assemble the text to, and just iterate through the list and just append the formatted text and a carriage return new line for every product. That's pretty straightforward, yeah. Okay, so at the end, I suppose all we need to do is just print the result. Yeah, just print these list of products. Let's try that. So now we're going to go to the shop class and we're going to invoke that print products method and supply the lambda expression that will implement the comparator and sort the products in the right order. Now, before we do that, in the shop class, we're told to basically place comments on all change locales and print product report method calls. So we wouldn't have any other printouts, basically. We are simply not to print any reports at this stage, simply because we don't want to clutter the output, and we want to just have a clean test of the logic of this new method we're about to create, that will do the printing and sorting. You need to retain the remaining code that actually adds reviews and creates products. That is still valid code. It's just that we will now utilize this new method, which is designed to print products. And as you can see, the print products method expects us to pass comparator object as an argument, this sorter, this comparator. Okay, so what that sorter object, what that comparator meant to be doing is that it meant to compare products and order them based on their ratings. So we take two products and we compare their ratings. Okay, shall we give it a try? It's ratings will have ordinals. Ordinals is an integer value for entry in the enum, and we can just subtract one integer from another, get either a positive or a negative value, and that's how we sort these products. So parameters here, product 1, product 2, that's what we're comparing, lambda token, and the value that we need to return. Well, we could do ascending, descending order. That sort of depends which way we're going to do it. Product 1 first or product 2 first. Get the rating, get the ordinal value for the rating, subtract from another product, get rating, and get the ordinal value. And there you go. That's your sorting algorithm. It's pretty straightforward. Well, it will print, so just run it, I guess. Running that, you'll get the list here. And as you can see, this is the order by the number of stars. Let's just swap around P1 and P2, and you'll get the reverse order, basically, if you do that. Just run it again, and voila, your order is reversed. So the 2-star comes first, 5-star comes last. So you can do it in whichever order you like, and it's as simple as just changing which ordinal you subtract from which ordinal. The other options is to implement other types of comparators. So you could keep on doing that, but sorting using different other conditions. So for example, let's say we will try to compare prices. That's our next assignment. So now compare using big decimal prices. Fortunately, big decimal class already implements comparator interface. So that's even easier. You don't even need to do any kind of math. You can simply pick up the existing big decimal method that will do the job. So you can get price from one product and then simply invoke compare to method, and compare it to the price of another product. Get price. So we'll have two different printouts now. Let's just run it again. So we'll see two lists of products, one compared by rating and another compared by prices. So you can see that the order is actually changing here. So this is the price order and that's the rating order. And I guess that's the whole idea. When you're printing products, the entire logic of how things should be printed is already embedded in the print products method, but you can supply different criteria for ordering these lines of code, basically lines of output. So you can do these different comparators. Can you combine multiple comparators? Certainly you can. You could basically take this rating sorter, yeah, and create it as an object. Because you now added that as an object, you'll have to actually import comparator, because when you were doing it as embedded lambda expression, you didn't have to do it. So you could simply take that comparator object, and what you're doing, you essentially just, let's import the comparator. You essentially just move in exact same lambda expression out of the out of this print products method call, and you're supplying it as a separate object. So this goes into a separate object. Actually, you can just pass that object as a parameter to the print products. Yeah, that's your sorter. Okay, so you can do that. But of course, the idea is that you could take it further, because you could have the not just the ordinal rating sorter, but you can have a price sorter done in exact same way. So we'll do that as well. Yeah, add the price sorter, same idea. Okay, and again, you could use them separately, of course. So if I'll just pass them as parameters to compare products individually, then the behavior of the program doesn't really change. All that's changing is I'm creating kind of a pre-creating these comparator objects rather than doing that in line. That's the only difference. However, now that I have them as separate components, I can combine them together. I could do this trick, then comparing, and I could decide which order I'd like them to be combined in. So for example, I could say, do the rating sorter first, and then do the other sorter, the price sorter, or the other way around. You could swap these, and you could say, do the one, and you can apply method reversed. Actually, you can do reverse the condition that way, yeah. Or you can apply the price sorter before the rating sorter. So combine them whichever way you want. Anyway, well, let's just print that, see what will happen, yeah. So now we have a more complex sorting, because we're sorting first ratings and then prices within each rating. And the second example is doing the same thing, but in reverse order, because we applied here reversed method. So as you can see, it's quite flexible design. Yeah, you can now change your mind about how you would like to arrange things. But the beauty of the way in which the code is designed is that all the actual format and logic is actually completely tucked away in a different class. You don't need to know how it's done. That's encapsulated by the product manager and its inner formatter class, yeah, nested static formatter class. And all you're doing here is that you're just specifying criteria of what you want to achieve with lambdas and observing the results done by the logic of the product manager, which does kind of the whole, formatting thing with the help of resource formatter, and just applies whatever sorter expression you wanted it to apply at that stage. Yeah, so it's pretty straightforward. I guess that concludes the exercise.